noticed how some symbols just feel ancient and official, carrying centuries of history, but then you find out their actual story is anything but straightforward? Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of those fascinating cases, the Flag of Sussex. For many, Sussex might conjure images of rolling hills, seaside towns, but there's been this persistent confusion about its very identity. Is it one county or is it two? So our mission today is to unpack this long-standing identity crisis and trace the remarkable journey of its iconic emblem. The six gold martlets on a blue background. Let's get started.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is observing how administrative decisions sometimes, well, they can complicate or even overshadow centuries of shared cultural identity, can't they? We'll be exploring how Sussex, first recorded way back in 692 as a single Anglo-Saxon kingdom, has navigated this challenge, and importantly, how its traditional symbols have ultimately triumphed, sort of reaffirming a deep-seated unity that persisted through it all.
Okay, let's begin right at the core of the issue then. This popular notion of East and West Sussex. For many people, I think they feel like two distinct entities, almost like separate counties. But our sources suggest a very different historical reality, don't they?
They absolutely do. Sussex originated as a singular Anglo-Saxon kingdom, clearly documented by name as early as 692. Fundamentally, it has always been one unified entity. However, from an administrative standpoint, you're right, it has been divided since 1585. That's a long time. And this arrangement was then formalized in 1889 with the establishment of separate county councils for the East and West.
Right, the separate councils. So these administrative bodies, each with their own distinctive arms and banners, they really fostered that idea of separate counties in the public mind, didn't they? And even Brighton, a significant city, operates as a self-administering entity entirely separate from both East and West Sussex councils. So how deeply did these separate administrative structures actually impact the public's perception of Sussex? Did they truly sow confusion about its underlying identity?
It's an excellent question. And while the administrative divisions were certainly real, our sources offer pretty compelling evidence for a persistent, single Sussex identity, one that ran much deeper in the public consciousness. Consider, for example, the Sussex County cricket team. There has always been one team representing the entire county right from its inception. That's quite a powerful symbol of unity, isn't it?
Yeah, that continuity, like with the cricket team, even amidst all the administrative divisions, it really underscores how resilient that single Sussex identity has been. And what's even more fascinating, I think, is how this unity appeared in other, maybe unexpected places. Like in the early 20th century, a suffragette branch banner designed to cover Surrey, Sussex, and Hampshire distinctly featured Sussex's traditional gold martlets on blue. That's an unequivocal statement of a single defined entity, isn't it?
Precisely. And that recognition continued. There was a 1903 guide, Picturesque Sussex, which unambiguously described one single county, featuring its traditional martlets. Then in the following decade, the Sussex identity was still strong enough for the army to call upon it for local recruitment drives during World War I. And this was despite the county having been administered by separate councils for 25 years already. Even as late as 1966, the notion of a single, unified county just wasn't really in dispute.
Okay, so if the sense of a single Sussex identity was so robust for so long, when did this misapprehension, this idea of two separate counties, truly begin to take hold? What were the catalysts?
Well, the sources suggest that the misunderstanding really only intensified after 1974. Two main factors seem to have contributed. Firstly, you had greater opportunities for self-promotion by the local authorities. That, coupled with cartographers and mass media focusing more on the administrative areas, gradually overshadowed the true county identity. And critically, there was a government statement issued in 1974 during local government reforms. It explicitly stated that the revised councils are administrative areas and will not alter the traditional boundaries of counties, nor is it intended that the loyalties of people living in them will change. But sadly, that advice was largely unheeded.
Ah, so the intention was clear, but the practice.
Exactly. And the second factor was the The short-lived royal mail system, active from 1974 to 1996, it actually advised households to include East Sussex or West Sussex on postal addresses. Now, while this system was eventually removed, the public wasn't really well informed of its discontinuation. And that understanding of geography based on those postal divisions, well, it still persists today for many.
That paints a pretty clear picture of how the confusion took root.
Did it cause any backlash?
It did. This whole identity confusion even led to calls for consolidation. I saw a letter in a local paper from 2011.
What did it say?
Arguing for just one Sussex council again, citing Kent as an example, saying it would be more efficient, save money.
Wow. So the perceived split became so normal, people wanted to formalize it in reverse, almost.
Kind of highlights how ingrained it became, but like you said, there's this powerful symbol that's been pushing back.
The flag. Let's talk about the flag. So, Sussex's true symbol. Describe it for us.
Okay, it's 6 gold martlets on a blue background.
Martlets. Explain those. Are the birds.
Yeah, basically heraldic swallows, but here's the quirky bit in heraldry. They don't have feet.
No feet. Why?
Possibly from an old belief that swallows were always flying, never landed. They're fanciful, but that's the tradition.
6 gold footless swallows on blue. Got it. Where did we first see this design?
The earliest known depiction is in John Speed's Atlas from 1611, the theater of the Empire of Great Britain.
Speed's Atlas. Okay.
And he used it specifically to represent the kingdom of the South Saxons, you know, where the name Sussex comes from.
So it's directly linked to the Anglo-Saxon kingdom.
Absolutely. It's shown multiple times on his map of the Heptarchy, over the kingdom itself, in the borders, even on the shield of King Ē'la, the supposed founder.
Did the colors ever change? You said gold on blue.
There's a brief wobble. A Latin version of Speed's Atlas in 1622 showed them in red.
Red. Why?
Seems to have been just an odd sort of idiosyncratic choice. It didn't stick. Blue definitely became the standard, the accepted color.
Okay, blue it is.
Okay.
But where did the symbol itself originate? 6 footless birds. That's quite specific.
Ah, the origin. That's where things get a bit murky. There are several theories knocking about.
Lay them on us.
Well, one theory links them to the Norman de Radynden family. It's a punning arms idea. Hirondelle is French for swallow.
Hirondelle. Hirondelle. I see the connection.
But the evidence is a bit weak. Their main lands weren't really in Sussex, and the town name Arundel probably comes from the River Arun, not the family.
Okay, so maybe not the Durundles. What else?
There's an 1880 theory by W.S. Ellis. He suggested they might have appeared on the seal of an early sheriff of Sussex, and his successors just kept using the design.
Plausible, maybe? Less romantic.
Possibly. Then there's Bodiam Castle, built 1385.
What's there? 6
martlets carved on the gatehouse. But there's debate about whose they are.
The plot thickens.
William Cotton, back in 1831, thought they belonged to the Wardour family gold on black. But the National Trust now reckons they're for Sir John de Radynden.
De Radynden, who was he?
The castle owner's immediate ancestor. And crucially, earlier accounts describe his arms as silver martlets on blue.
Silver on blue. Close, but not gold on blue.
Close. But de Radynden himself is a really strong contender for the origin. He was a big deal in Sussex.
Well, John de Radynden was a man of considerable influence and importance in Sussex during the 14th century. From 1316, he served as a commissioner of array, basically, gathering inhabitants for military service. He was selected as Knight of the Shire for the county in 1319, serving in various parliaments until 1329. He organized men-at-arms for Gascony, deployed watchmen, selected archers for battle in France. He remained active in county affairs even into his 70s, a major figure.
Right, a real power player in the county.
Absolutely. And with the troops he mustered, presumably gathering under his coat of arms, there was likely to have been a very strong, well-developed association between the de Radynden insignia and the county where he was so influential. It kind of highlights how, in an era before heraldry was rigidly standardized, a powerful individual's emblem could, through popular association, especially with local military service, begin to cement itself as a county identifier, long before any official recognition.
That makes sense. Almost like a grassroots adoption.
Exactly. And there's even a plaque affixed in the 1930s to a pillar marking the site of his ancient manor, now Preston Park, which unequivocally declares his arms as since assumed by the county of Sussex. Pretty direct.
That's a powerful connection. But the source also mentions variations, sometimes 10 and 12 martlets in his arms, not just the 6 we know today. What's that about? Was it just inconsistent?
It's an interesting detail of early heraldry and how designs evolve over time. Several works do refer to the de Radynden arms bearing 10 martlets. A 1312 document called the Bannerets Roll describes a Gloucestershire Rattendine, likely the same family line with semi-martlets. Semi means they were scattered across the shield, not a fixed number.
Ah, like a pattern rather than a count.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So semi could have been a widespread, almost scattered distribution that later got formalized into specific counts like 12 or 10, and then perhaps a practical reduction to 6, which was just easier to draw and reproduce consistently. And these 6 martlets are today held to symbolize Sussex's 6 medieval administrative areas, the Rapes, Chichester, Arundel, Bramber, Lewes, Pevensey, and Hastings. Nice symbolic link, whether intended originally or not.
And the gold color, because you mentioned some original descriptions had silver or white martlets. How did gold become the standard?
Yeah, it's likely a simple progression, really. White and yellow, or silver and gold in heraldry, can be easily mistaken from a distance, especially on worn flags or old manuscripts, or, even just the aging process. White pigment on an old-colored version of the arms could appear yellow with the patina of age. And then the error gets compounded through repetition over centuries. So the yellow or gold simply became the preferred, recognized color over time.
Well, there's another clue at Witham Church. A 17th century account by Nicholas Charles describes arms there that are identical to the modern flag. Azure, 6 martlets, 3, 2, 1, or, that's blue, 6 martlets arranged 3, 2, 1 in gold.
Identical. And in the 17th century, whose were they?
Charles himself wasn't sure. He pondered a link to an 𝗙𝗵𝗴 family, but they're from Leicestershire, no Sussex connection. A much better fit is the Dallingridge family.
Why them?
They inherited the de Radynden estate, and they owned Bulbrook Manor nearby, so a strong local link. If those arms were originally de Radynden's, it means the martlets had turned from silver to gold by the early 1600s.
So the evidence seems to point pretty strongly towards Sir John de Radynden, with maybe a color shift over time.
That seems the most likely story, yes. Even though there are other obscure figures like a John Lemoyne's with similar arms, the Sussex connection just isn't there for them. Okay, so it sounds like the martlets had a strong early start tied to influential figures like de Radynden and ancient kingdoms, but then they seem to have faded for a while. What happened between the 17th and 19th centuries? Did Sussex just forget its symbol for a couple hundred years?
It seems that way, strangely enough. Indeed, there appear to be basically no recorded instances of their use between the 17th and 19th centuries, a real gap.
Yeah.
And during this period, another symbol actually rose to prominence, the rose and crown. Some people asserted this was the arms of 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and started using it to represent Sussex more broadly.
𝗧𝗵𝗲, but that wasn't even the traditional county town, was it? How did its emblem come to represent the entire county, even temporarily?
True, it wasn't the county town like Lewes. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 was the location of important court sessions, the Lent Assizes, mainly because it was closer to London, so it had administrative significance. And this emblem, the rose and crown, it combined a royal crown with the rose of the Duchy of Lancaster-𝗧𝗵𝗲, was part of this duchy, which became tied to the crown under Henry IV in 1399. You see it appearing on an 1815 banknote, in William Barry's 1830 genealogies, and even on the masthead of the Sussex Advertiser County newspaper for a time. So it shows how even an administrative detail could, temporarily, create a kind of de facto symbol.
Okay, so the martlets were seemingly forgotten, replaced for a while by the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 rose and crown. How did they manage to stage such a remarkable comeback after all that? What was it about that specific period, the mid-19th century, that created such fertile ground for a nearly forgotten emblem to be so enthusiastically reclaimed?
It's a fascinating shift, isn't it? And it wasn't just a historical rediscovery, it really reflected a broader Victorian-era movement. As Britain industrialized and maybe national identity became more homogenized, there was this powerful countercurrent. A renewed interest, a real zeal for local history, unique county traditions, and the emblems that represented them. Mark Antony Lower, who was a prominent antiquarian writing in 1845, initially dismissed the martlets. He actually referred to them as fictitious bearings ascribed to the South Saxon king.
Fictitious, wow.
Yes, yet only a year later, in 1846, he established the Sussex Archaeological Society, which proudly incorporated the martlets into its very own emblem. They even adopted the Latin motto 𝗧𝗵𝗴 Sussexia, may Sussex flourish.
That's quite the turnaround in just 1 year. What do you think prompted his change of heart so quickly? Was it new research or just catching this wave of county pride?
It probably speaks to his deepening research, certainly, but also tapping into that growing affirmation of county identities and, a natural inclination to see them represented emblematically. Lower himself suggests the martlets came back into use within the last 10 years, so roughly 1835, 1845, implying a conscious choice by someone, maybe several people, to procure a distinct county emblem. And this is backed up by the Sussex Advertiser newspaper, which by 1852 had also dropped the rose and crown and adopted the Sussex Martlets as the unequivocal county emblem on its masthead. It was definitely a conscious reclamation, a deeply rooted past.
So the Martlets were back, and clearly here to stay this time. Their resurgence seems to indicate a powerful pull towards symbols that genuinely represent local identity, not just administrative convenience.
Absolutely. And we see further evidence of this consolidation throughout the 19th century. For instance, they appeared on a decorated arch in Lewes in April 1872 when 11,000 men of the Sussex Rifle Volunteers marched for their review. That firmly cemented them as the Sussex County emblem by that time. And a similar device, the Martlets, has been used by the Sussex County Cricket Club since its establishment way back in 1839. Even the Mid-Sussex and Midhurst Junction Railway Company adopted it as a logo. They were popping up everywhere. What about that crowned version you sometimes see?
Ah, yes, the slightly more ornate one. On village signs, town halls, old pottery.
Where did the crown come from?
Plausibly, it goes back to Speed's 1611 map again. His illustration had a decorative gold crown placed above the shield with the martlets. It seems that got incorporated into the emblem itself over time for ceremonial uses.
Okay, so a decorative flourish became part of some versions. Did they stay visible through the 20th century?
They did. On book covers, Unknown Sussex, county guides, and culturally embedded too, appearing on hop sacks called pockets.
Hop buckets, that's very Sussex.
Isn't it? And on labels for brewers too, showing deep roots beyond just officialdom.
Right, which brings us to the modern era and getting the flag officially recognized. Because it wasn't automatic.
No, surprisingly. Unlike Kent's White Horse or Essex's Sexes, the Sussex Martlets weren't initially included on the UK flag registry when it was established. Why was such a long-standing, historically attested symbol overlooked?
It's a very good question, and probably points to the lingering confusion caused by the separate council arms perhaps, or just an oversight. But thankfully, some dedicated county residents weren't having it.
Right, this is where Dave and Brady Ells come in. They campaigned intensely for its inclusion.
They did. Their magnificently researched and lavishly illustrated Sussex flag website, coupled with the crucial support of the Association of British Counties, amassed a huge wealth of historical and cultural evidence. It proved decisive. The Flag Institute duly registered the Sussex flag, the 6 gold martlets on blue, on May 20th, 2011. Finally giving it its rightful place alongside other traditional county designs.
May 20th, 2011, a date for Sussex folk to remember.
Absolutely. And just 2 weeks later, it proudly flew outside Eland House, the offices of the Department of Communities and Local Government in London, on Sussex Day, June 16th, which is, very fittingly, the feast day of St. Richard of Chichester, the county's patron saint. A perfect first official flying.
That's a fantastic conclusion to its official recognition. So, what does this all mean for its adoption and use across the county today? Has it been truly embraced by the residents?
Oh, absolutely. The flag has been enthusiastically embraced. It's become one of the most popular and commonly flown county flags in the UK, actually. You can see it regularly flying over iconic landmarks like Lewes Castle. Apparently they fly a huge 12-foot flag there. And in towns across the county, Chichester, Burwash, Petworth, Rye, its visibility is undeniable now.
And it's not just official buildings or historical sites, is it? I hear it's incredibly popular with sports teams and local businesses, too.
That's right. Brighton and Hove Albion football fans and the club's mascot have adopted it enthusiastically. Any other examples?
Loads. The county airsoft team, Harvey's Brewery in Lewes, uses it prominently. It's used to promote Sussex produce. It's really become a symbol of local pride.
And Sussex Day, June 16th. Is that a big deal?
It really is growing. You get fantastic examples of enthusiasm. There's a guy, Paul Lendon, who has a Sussex flag waistcoat and even painted his Renault car in the flag's colors.
Now that's dedication.
Isn't it? And another chap, Richard Griffiths, decorated his plane with the flag.
This is crucial. We need to bust some myths.
Yeah.
Because people see council flags.
Yes. Let's be crystal clear. Banners based on the arms of West Sussex Council or East Sussex Council, they are not the Sussex County flag. They just represent the councils.
Right. Council banners, the any flag. Got it.
Yeah.
What about the colors? People think red for East, blue for West.
Total misconception. Likely stemming from those council arms again. It's easily disproven.
Yes.
You see the traditional blue flag with gold martlets used all over East Sussex, Lewes Town Hall, villages like Ringmer, the bonfire societies.
Ah, the bonfire societies.
Yeah.
Very traditional.
Exactly. And get this. East Sussex County Council itself used gold martlets on blue before 1937.
So even the East Sussex Council used the traditional blue flag historically. Case closed on the color myth then.
Pretty much. We should also just quickly dismiss a few other designs that sometimes pop up.
A medieval manuscript from Henry VI's reign apparently depicted 3 white trefoils. Those are like 3-lobed clover symbols against a blue background for Sussex. Never really caught on, though. More recently, a design that won a rather unnecessary BBC Southern Counties radio competition back in 2008 was divided red and blue vertically. It just reflected and perpetuated the very misconception we just discussed about East-West colors, making it wholly inappropriate.
Yeah, reinforcing the myth.
Exactly. There was also a political group, the Sussex Party, that proposed a flag with 4 horizontal bands and a yellow sun, but this simplistic design had no distinct Sussex symbolism or historical context. And while you can sometimes find a curious crimson-colored version for sale online, presumably based on that odd red emblem in the 1622 Latin Atlas, it is not, of course, the registered official county flag.
And a final little historical quirk for you.
Go on.
For a short time, neighboring Surrey actually used a version of the Sussex Martlets, just slightly altered or defaced.
Surrey used the Sussex flag. Cheeky.
A little bit. And showing how these symbols evolved, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, one of the flag campaigners, actually designed a brand new coat of arms for the county in 2020.
So the tradition lives on and keeps developing.
Precisely.
Okay.
Single clear flag, 6 gold martlets on blue truly is a powerful statement of unity that cuts through all that historical noise and administrative detail. What a journey that was, through history, heraldry, local pride. From ancient kingdoms and influential knights through forgotten periods and right up to a passionate modern-day reclamation. The Sussex flag, with its 6 gold martlets on a blue field, really isn't just a pretty symbol, is it? It's a testament to a county's enduring, unified identity that persisted against administrative divisions and fleeting fads.
It powerfully reaffirms that true identity often runs much deeper than lines drawn on administrative maps or temporary postal requirements. The flag's eventual registration and its widespread adoption today truly mark a successful reclamation of Sussex's single, indivisible spirit. It proves that a symbol, when it's deeply rooted like this one, can always find its way home, so to speak.
So, what does this all mean for you, listening? Well, next time you see those distinctive martlets, whether it's on a flag flying high over a castle, or maybe on a football jersey, or even a pub sign, remember the rich, often contested, but ultimately unified history they carry. And perhaps ponder this. What symbols around you in your own area hold a deeper story and meaning than meets the eye? Maybe one that's waiting to be fully understood or even reclaimed. This has been The Deep Dive, and we hope you've enjoyed exploring the fascinating world of the Sussex flag with us.